Hey everyone, so it is time for a video that everybody's been asking for, and by everybody I mean at least 3 people have asked for this video. Dahlias. You guys want to see what they look like now? Let's check it out today. So I'm standing along the south side of our house, and this is where I did a video earlier this year showing you how I plant all these tall dahlias. I try to keep all the really tall, and often the dinner plate ones are tall, alongside the house because it helps support them a little bit. It just rained quite hard this morning, so we do have a few things that are leaning a little bit, which happens this time of year, but things are looking pretty good. So right next to me here is a new one that I'm growing this year, and this one is called BREAKOUT, and some of them get huge. I'm trying to find, they grow in these big clusters, and some of the blooms are absolutely, this is not the biggest of them, but they're very pretty. They have kind of a really pure yellow center, kind of peach and buff tones in them. It's a flatter flower. It doesn't, the petals don't curve around the back side of it like they do on some. Really pretty. Love this one in the garden this year. So now I'm going to show you, I'm just going to kind of take you around and show you all of what I'm growing so you can see how things look. So next up here is Penhill Dark Monarch. Now this is a new flower coming out, and you can see how it looks. The color on these really varies, and I'll show you as we go around what they look like. But it kind of starts opening up in these sort of orange colors with some fuchsia in the middle. And then over here we've got one that's kind of at, I would say, peak bloom. And I hope you can see the size of this. I should probably get a ruler out so we can measure these. Hold on. Okay, not that I grow these for size, because if you want to grow dahlias for size, what you really should do is pinch out the buds so you have fewer flowers. I'm just growing them for the most flowers I can get. So if you went side to side, that one is 9.5 inches across, but that one's really good. So this is one that's really spent, and I probably should cut it, but it still looks kind of okay. Let me show you a couple other Penhill Dark Monarchs, because I've got things planted all along here. So here's another one that's just starting to open up, and you can see those colors really well. So I just wanted to show you this other breakout that I just found growing with these. This one was facing the house, so it didn't get as much light, and you can see the color is reflected in that. It's kind of interesting. It has these sort of pretty petals over here on the side as well. Another new one for me this year is the sister to Penhill Dark Monarch, and this is Penhill Watermelon. But I will say I've not seen any sign of it being a watermelon color yet. It's very much of a lavender color, quite pretty. Let me show you one that's a little bit bigger. So this one's being a little shy and facing the house, but this one's fully open, so you can see that the petals wrap all the way around it on it. Really a nice, full, rounded one. And you can see that this one is probably 7.5 inches wide, just to give you a perspective on that. But it's really a very pretty one. Just don't really understand the name of it yet. Maybe the color will change. A couple of really nice big new ones coming on here as well. Next up is Labyrinth, which I grew last year for the first time. And boy, is it a favorite. It is just absolutely outstanding. I hope you can see the colors in this. It's got the beautiful peachy yellow, hot pink. If you turn over the underside of the leaves, they're a beautiful pink. And those are growing throughout here, so let me show you some more of those because they're so pretty. Here's some more labyrinths, and a nice cluster of them growing here. And so you can see how the pinks and the oranges is just bright and fiery, and there's a little bit of twist to the petals, which is just adds a little bit more interest. This one does not curl around like the Penhill does, but still a really beautiful one. Last up on the varieties along the house is Nuette Eta. I'll put the names on the screen so you can see how to spell them. This is a really dark cactus one, very pretty. Ironically, I had no intention of planting this one here, where there was a labeling issue. So that's how this one ended up here, but it actually looks quite pretty. Perhaps my favorite new dahlia that I'm growing this year is this one. This is HS Date, And as far as I'm concerned, the best part of this is the dark foliage, which is so gorgeous in the garden. Single flowers that open up sort of this russety orange color. And there's a monarch hanging around. He might pop over soon. And fade gradually. They end up, this is sort of a few days old, and then it fades out to kind of almost a peachy, yellowish tone. So pretty. As you can probably see, the bees love these. The bees and the pollinators can get to the centers of these singles. Flowers don't last a real long time, but what it lacks in flower longevity, it makes up for in prolifically flowering. Constantly new flowers. I do deadhead these, so as soon as they get to this point right here, or where they look like a triangle, I will just cut this stem all the way back down to wherever it meets another flower stem or a node. This is another new dahlia that I have growing in the main garden this year. This one is called Great Silence, and it's a lovely array of colors. I will say it seems to be more affected by insects than some of the other varieties I'm growing. So you can see that most of the flowers have some sort of insect damage on it. It doesn't make it any less pretty, but it comes out beautiful. It comes across as quite bright and colorful. Pinks, yellows, oranges, peaches, even going to hot pink when they first come out. A smaller flower, and did require a little bit of staking, but not a lot. So when I say a little bit of staking, I mean I can get away with like a 3-foot long bamboo stick in there versus like a huge big stake. So this is Hamari Gold. It kind of got stuck in the back of the garden, but it's really a beautiful color. It's a very pretty kind of orange tinge yellow. Nice size. It's probably one I should have put in a better spot, but it doesn't get very tall, so it would get kind of eaten over by the house. But little bit, that flower is a little bit chewed up, and it's been a little bit neglected over here, but it's a pretty one. This is sort of the sibling to HS Date. This is HS Flame, another single one, with even darker foliage and smaller foliage than HS Date, that I have grown over in this area of the circle garden for a long time. Really, really, really pretty yellow centers, bright red flowers on it. And again, prolific. Just a little hint. See this triangle, little pointy tip? That's how, and here, little pointy tip. Those are spent flowers. Round balls are new flowers. So you can cut off anything with little pointy tips and you can keep your blooms going. Again, bees love it, but it wouldn't be nearly as pretty if it didn't have this dark foliage. I have another dark foliage dahlia over here. There are, I think, 4 growing in this spot, or maybe 5. This is Bishop of Canterbury. This doesn't have black foliage so much as very, very sort of dark olive green foliage and then purple stems. It gets these kind of pinky purple flowers on it that are kind of blousy. They're sort of almost like a double layer. This is new for me this year, and the jury's out on this one. It's a little floppier than it was supposed to be, so I've had to sort of prop it up. And the flowers, I don't know, they don't have the charm of the single flowers for me, or all the excitement of the big blousy ones, so it sort of falls in an odd place for me. So I'm not sure how I feel about this one, but again, it was kind of a nice thing in the spot in the garden. And last I have Purple Gem, which is not purple and never has been for me. I've grown this one before. There's a bee who's loving it right now. Bright pink cactus, very pretty, but a little floppy and a little bit tough on the structure for me. So I like this one, but it's not one I'll put right up front and center. Okay guys, so that's just a really quick tour of the dahlias. It's high dahlia season here right now, and these will keep, most of these will keep flowering right until frost. And they are great for that. They really kick in and get going and bring so much color to the garden in late summer, and that is just a wonderful thing to have. And I love having them in my garden. You know, the success with dahlias, sometimes people think they're a really tricky flower. They do need a little bit more coddling than some other flowers do, but not a lot. I would say, you know, the big thing is stay consistent with the watering. They're like a tomato in that regard. They like really consistent watering. They don't need a ton of water. They just kind of want consistent water. And keep up on the deadheading. At the very least, it keeps them looking really nice, and it may also help promote some more blooms. But spent dahlia flowers are really unattractive, so I always have a little pile of dead-headed dahlias laying around. So anyways, I hope this was fun for you guys to check in since you guys saw all this coming together in spring. And if you're interested in a video on storing dahlias later in the season, just leave a comment and let me know if that's something you'd like to see. We could probably work on a video for that. It's not the most exciting thing in the world, but I think that that's the thing that scares people off from dahlias more than anything, because if you are in like zone 7 or below, you're going to need to dig your dahlias and store them, or else treat them as annuals. Zone 7 is kind of the mid-range, so you might be able to push it and just mulch them in 7. If you're above 7, you can mulch them and they will last in winter, and you never have to worry about it. So lucky you guys. In any case, let me know if that's something you're interested in later in the year. And in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed seeing all the beautiful dahlias that I have in my garden right now.